What's going on, dudes and dudettes? It is Deadbolt here, bringing back some more SCP reactions. And today we got another Volgun video, SCP-505, the ink stain. My prediction for this, I feel like the ink stain, it's probably a sentient being, you know, made of ink. But like, he touches it, kind of like Polka Dot Man, I guess. Or is it Polka Dot Man? There's like two of them in Marvel and DC. There's the Polka Dot Man, and I think the other guy is called something different. I'm talking about the Spider-Man villain. The Spot? I want to say that's his name. DC is Polka Dot Man. Yeah, he was in the Suicide Squad, and then Marvel has the Spot, I want to say. I'll put a picture of him in post. But he just has the power, like he has dots on his body, I think. And just they go into like different voids. I think he could take them off his body too and like put them on a wall and, you know, create a void like that. That's what I think the ink stain is, except with ink. That's my guess. And because this is SCP, I feel like those portals that he makes goes to like a hellish dimension of torture and suffering, because that seems to be the trend with these kind of SCPs. But alrighty, be sure to subscribe to the Volgun, by the way. And let's get into it. Oops. There we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today.
If it is a pen, then you can throw out the human part of my theory and just say, it's the pen that does it. Or, oh shit, wait, actually that kind of brings in a whole new idea of mine. What if it's like a pen? Maybe you could draw things and they come to life, you know, like the tattooed man in DC. I don't know. I thought it was a dude, and now I see a pen, and I'm like, oh, well, shit, I'm completely wrong now. Let's get back into it.
Is SCP-505. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-505 is contained in a 50 by 40 by 10 meter room at Site. SCP-505's containment area is to be sealed other than one secure airlock and a series of pipes allowing transport of SCP-505-1 to storage tanks in the event of SCP-505-1 reaching levels in which it poses danger to containment. Sprayers for sodium hydroxide are to be available through SCP-505's containment area and the rest of Site to combat a containment breach. In the event of a spill of SCP-505-1, the affected area should immediately be covered with an absorbent material. Commercial blotting paper is currently standard for this purpose, and doused with alcohol or acetone if sodium hydroxide is not immediately available. Sodium hydroxide immersion is the method of choice for SCP-505-1 containment, followed by incineration of affected material if practicable. There are currently instances of SCP-505-1 points of secondary contamination outside SCP-505's primary containment area. Containment in these areas is variable, but efforts have been made to make the procedures as similar to those of the primary site if possible. Of these secondary contamination zones are unable to be fully contained at this time, resulting in the spread of SCP-505-1 throughout the environment. These sites are to be monitored at all times, and countermeasure deployment is of the highest priority. For a complete list of SCP-505-1 secondary containment sites, see Document 505-14A. Description.
Okay, finally. I have no idea.
SCP-505 is a model Faber-Castell fountain pen, produced in 2001.
So it is a pen.
For documentation of its acquisition by the Foundation, see Addendum 505-2. It is identical in all respects to a standard fountain pen, apart from its association with SCP-505-1. SCP-505-1 is the black ink produced by SCP-505, which exhibits the property of self-replication. SCP-505 spreads at a variable rate, affected by the substance it comes into contact with and the amount of SCP-505-1 present. Quantities of SCP-505-1 have been shown to increase at rates between 0.5 and 540 milliliters per second. Standard ink-removing chemicals are able to partially remove SCP-505-1 and inhibit its spread. However,
so it replicates whatever it touches, or does it just replicate itself? It's identical and all. And it's the ink. So the pen, it's like the Nerfing gun. I think in the Nerfing gun case, it has to be the Nerfing gun, but also the bullet is like the thing. Like you could put regular bullets in the Nerfing gun and nothing happens. But if you put that special bullet in that gun, it works. But I don't know if the bullet works with just any gun. But it's like similar to that. Except it's a pen and ink. The property of self-replication, though. So I can't tell if that means whatever the ink gets on replicates, or if that pen replicates itself. It's like the cake that, you know, just doubles every day.
However, sodium hydroxide is necessary to remove SCP-5051 contamination completely, and has shown to be ineffective in environments with particularly high SCP-5051 concentrations. Fortunately, the growth rate of SCP-5051 appears to be inversely proportional to its quantity at high concentrations. Whilst the observed effects of this are negligible in most cases, this inverse growth phenomenon provides the only explanation for the partial containment of SCP-5051 despite a number of cases of large-scale environmental contamination, which were projected to otherwise lead to an NK-class end-of-the-world scenario. Whilst SCP-5051 exhibits no unusual properties other than its constant spread and partial resistance to removal, it nonetheless poses serious difficulties for control. SCP-5051 will flow across non-absorbent surfaces and pass through porous surfaces in an identical fashion to normal ink. All liquid or solid objects or beings in contact with SCP-5051 will be contaminated. SCP-5051 will still adhere to non-porous surfaces, such as metals, but newly produced SCP-5051 will constantly flow off. Non-porous materials are thus catalysts for SCP-5051 spread, and all SCP-5051 contamination should be covered in porous materials, such as blotting paper, for this reason. It is not possible to permanently contain SCP-5051 in a non-porous container, as said container's contents will gradually increase in quantity, leading to increased pressure and subsequent rupture. All containers being used to contain SCP-5051 must therefore be drained periodically to prevent a containment breach.
So it's just ink that just never stops flowing. Why couldn't this just be water? Can you imagine? Like this would be a non-issue if it was water that was just replicating over and over again. You know how many parts of the world are in desperate need of water, and then here's this SCP that's just like, I could do water, but I'm gonna just do ink instead. Like, thanks. Ink is definitely what the world needs right now. That's why I like how this doesn't have any inherently insidious properties. Like, I was under the impression it would be like, oh, this ink, like whatever it gets on, it duplicates, it opens wormholes to hellish landscapes, just like that door to nowhere type thing. No, it's just ink. It's just a pain in the butt to clean. And like, I just like knowing that there's SCPs out here that just exist to give the SCP Foundation a bit of grief. Like, yeah, 682, deadly monster. Yeah, it probably griefs the SCP Foundation. But then you also have this thing. It's just ink. You gotta hire some janitors, get that, what is it, isopropyl alcohol or whatever the hell, whatever chemical they use to clean it up, and then they go on about their day. But like, if you don't clean it up, we're all fucked. I don't know, maybe I'm just weird.
SCP-5051's effects on its environment are identical to those of an equivalent quantity of standard fountain pen ink.
It's just ink.
SCP-5051 exposure will inevitably lead to the death of living organisms.
Oh.
Plant matter will be killed due to inhibition of photosynthesis, whereas animals will be killed due to chemical poisoning. In humans and other mammals, SCP-5051 contact will most likely be via the skin, where it will spread until it reaches an orifice or a break in the skin and subsequently enter the vascular system through mucous membranes. SCP-5051 will spread through the vasculature and have catastrophic effects on all organ systems it reaches, as it continuously replicates and is unable to be excreted by the urinary system, Cause of death is generally multiple organ failure, although in most cases,
Jesus.
affected individuals will be terminated and decontaminated prior to this. For containment procedures in these instances, see Addendum 505-1.
So it's not just ink.
Gotcha. Because ink doesn't do that, you know, like I get it duplicates, but like it doesn't, like it duplicates even if it's in your bloodstream, you know, like if you got ink, like a ink pen on a cut, yeah, it might go into your bloodstream, but like it's not going to kill you. This will. Like if you get it anywhere on your body, it'll kill you. That isn't good. Needless to say, but like I thought it was just ink, but no, it's freaking killer ink. It's like venom if venom, well, it's venom, because I was gonna say venom if venom wanted to kill you, and I mean, like, he could from the inside out. He just eat your organs. Jeez. Except you don't get cool powers.
SCP-505-1 also has an increased rate of spread through non-viscous fluids, such as water, as would be expected of normal ink. Any contamination of the water table with SCP-505-1 must be prevented at all costs due to the potential for an NK class end of the world scenario. It is
so this is the exact opposite of what I said. You know, I said, oh, what if it was water that duplicated? Well, then it wouldn't be a problem. It's ink, but if it gets in water, like a major water supply like the ocean, we're kind of screwed. Like we can't drink ink, and you know, if you drink this ink or touch it in any way, you die. So this is just screwing us over even more.
Known whether SCP-505-1's aforementioned property of an inversely proportional rate of spread will manifest in fluids, as experimentation with such high quantities of SCP-505-1 is strictly forbidden. Thus, any environmental SCP-505-1 contamination in water sources must be met with immediate damming and drainage into storage tanks of all affected areas. Addendum 505-1. Procedures for dealing with SCP-505-1 contamination in humans. Administration of multiple dose activated charcoal has been shown to slow the progress of SCP-505-1 contamination in humans, but is unable to halt the process. The only known methods of treatment for SCP-505-1 contamination in humans are by the immediate excision of the affected area or continuous application of ethanol to an affected skin region. Topical ethanol treatment will not prevent the affected individual from transmitting SCP-505-1 to other surfaces and is thus highly discouraged, except in the cases of essential personnel, in which case containment procedures must be observed as in all other sites of secondary SCP-505-1 contamination. In theory, excision or amputation of affected areas would be the gold standard for treatment, but contamination of surgical instruments and personnel remains a problem. Therefore, all cases of SCP-505-1 contamination in humans, other than essential personnel, should be dealt with by termination, followed by standard procedure of sodium hydroxide immersion and incineration of the remains.
See, this is why I'm saying the SCP's Foundation deserves to have a little bit of grief. Because they're just like, yeah, we have these like solutions, you know, they're a work in progress, but you know, they're better than nothing. But we're gonna save those for, you know, important people. You know, it's too hard to do on you normies. We'd rather just kill you. That's easier, you know? That's why I'm just like, man, you guys deserve this. You guys deserve to be screwed over a little bit.
Addendum 505-2. SCP-505 retrieval history. SCP-505 was acquired by the Foundation from the town in Oman, when the town in question was quarantined by the Omani government due to reports of a black fluid beginning to seep out from the town's post office and causing the deaths of a number of its inhabitants. Fortuitously, the arid and remote location of the incident prevented wide-scale environmental contamination of SCP-505-1. The Foundation retrieved SCP-505-1 with casualties. No other anomalous properties of the town's post office or the town itself were detected, and it was deemed necessary to terminate civilian inhabitants of who were deemed likely to be contaminated. The incident was reported as a non-extranormal chemical spill.
Shake my head.
I know, before you say anything, this article is very outdated. This is clearly not a Keter class anomaly, but I need to present it as what the article says. We can all have a little discussion now as to what it should be classified as. Anyway, this concludes today's lecture. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye for now.
I don't know, man. I still feel like that's a Keter. Like, Euclid feels like it's too... Like, Euclid is more for... I mean, okay, so safe is like you can contain it. Euclid is like it's unpredictable, I guess. Like, you know, you can, but like it changes, you know. And then Keter is like it's high risk. But like I feel like this, like they said, like they have 5 containment sites or something for it, and like still, like it keeps growing and shit. So like I feel like it's right where it needs to be, especially when this thing can destroy the world, you know, freaking take away all our water. I would definitely keep it as a Keter. Screw that. I'm not playing these games.
I'm not playing these games!
But be sure to subscribe to TheVolgun. That was another great video. Like always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you would greatly appreciate it, I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place, off the liquor that we chase. Got some egos to the face, baby, I don't need no